One of the things I love in the wintertime is a creamy soup, and today's soup is super creamy. It is a broccoli cream soup, and I'm going to be using an ingredient or two that you might not be used to using when you make a soup, but I'm going to show you how easy it is to put together and how delicious it's going to be. Pronto? Allora andiamo a cucinare. Ciao my friends, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Lucia and this is where I teach you easy recipes for healthy everyday cooking. And today is super simple. It only takes one pot. So we are making a creamy broccoli soup. So to start, we want to get our saute pan on a medium-high heat. Add a couple tablespoons of olive oil. And to that, we're going to add our sofrito mix, which is typically our onions, our celery, and our carrots. And I'm also adding a couple cloves of garlic. And these are all rough chopped because we are going to be placing this in a blender. And a little bit of salt. And we just want to continue to saute this until all the vegetables are soft. Now the next ingredient we're going to use, a lot of times people will use a potato to make a soup creamy, but I'm trying to keep it low carb, so I will use a rutabaga. And if you're not used to what a rutabaga is or familiar, this is what it looks like. And so what we are going to do is we're going to peel it. That's the first thing we do. It doesn't really have a specific taste to it, so that's why it's perfect for this soup. And it's a great way to add some creaminess if you're trying to do like a mashed potato and you don't want it super starchy. You can do a half and half, or I've even seen them where they've taken like cauliflower, rutabaga, and some other of the root vegetables and combine them to make a mashed potato, and that would be very low carb. All right, so now that we have it peeled, we just want to cut off the two ends, like so. All right, and I'm just going to dice this up into cubes. And we're just going to add that to our pot. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a little bit of water to this, because when you do a little bit of water to the hot pan, it creates steam, and steam actually cooks at a very high heat. And because there's this steam going on, it's not going to burn. So I'm going to put the lid on, and of course you want to watch it because you don't want all the water to evaporate, because if it all evaporates, obviously it will burn. So we just want that to continue cooking, covered. It'll cook a lot quicker this way until all the vegetables are fork tender. But in the meantime, we want to cut our broccoli and prepare that. Now the broccoli doesn't need as much time to cook because it is a more tender vegetable. So we basically just want to cut all the tops off here and just break the clusters of broccoli florets. And I usually keep the leaves on as well because they're really nutritious and fibrous. They're good for you, a lot of good nutrients in them. Now the bottom part, some people aren't sure what to do with this. They throw it away. But it's really easy to take all the meat from here, and let me show you how to do that. First thing you want to do is you want to cut the bottom, because usually the bottom is pretty dry. So we'll do that for both of them. Then using a paring knife, you just want to go and just get a little bit on the bottom and just pull it. And what will happen is it will pull strips of the tough fibrous part of the vegetable. And you just want to keep going around here until all this fibrous is removed and you're left with the tender middle part. So now that we have the tender part, all we have to do is just go ahead and slice it. And then add that. And now I'm just going to do the second one. I am going to add the stalks that I just cleaned up because they're a little bit more firm than the florets, so they can start cooking as well. I probably add these in the last 2-3 minutes of what I think cooking time should be here. All the other vegetables are pretty much fork tender. The rutabaga is just a little bit on the tough side still, but it's almost there. So at this point I am going to throw my florets in here, and I'm probably going to add just a little bit more water. Okay, so now all of our vegetables have been cooking and they're all nice and fork tender now. I did have to add some water a few times just so it wouldn't burn, and that's totally fine. You can do that. We just don't want a lot of water. We don't want it boiling in water. So now at this point, I'm going to take all the vegetables and add them to my blender. And then to that, we're going to add some creaminess. So if you want to add regular dairy, that's fine. Or if you want to add a non-dairy, whatever works for you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some coconut oil or coconut milk to this. I happen to have a son-in-law who is lactose intolerant, and so I try to think about him when I make things like this. So plus not only that, the high fat in the coconut oil will sustain you for a longer period of time. So it'll also keep you feeling satiated, so you won't be so hungry. So I am going to add a whole can. You don't have to add a whole can if you don't want to. If it's too much for you, that's totally fine. All right, we're going to put the top on. Now because this is still hot, I don't want to actually put the top on the blender. I'm going to use a towel to cover it, so if it spits up, it's not going to go all over the place and it won't explode. So we want to start on low and then increase our speed until it's nice and creamy and thick. All right, I think that is good. It's all nice and smooth. You know, just add however much water you need to add to it just to kind of get it going in the blender. Okay, so now I'm gonna add it back to my pot just to kind of give it a final heating. And you can see how nice and creamy and smooth that is. All right, so at this point we want to taste to make sure there's enough salt and pepper, and definitely need some more salt. And I'm also gonna add some fresh cracked pepper. And you can see how beautiful and creamy this soup is. Now we have some garnishes that we want to add to this soup. Let's heat this up and then we'll plate it, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so the soup is all done now, so we're just gonna go ahead and plate this. And I did make some croutons on the side. You can either buy them or you can make them. I always seem to have day-old bread laying around, so it's just easy for me to make them. And if you don't know how to make it, you just cut them up in cubes, put some olive oil, put the bread in, stir it up, add a little bit of salt and pepper, and then just let it cook on the stove until they're nice and golden brown. So I've got these beautiful croutons. And so I'm now just gonna add a couple of them to the top of the soup, just like so. And I'm gonna sprinkle just a little bit of thyme, just to give it some fresh herbs, but you don't have to if you don't want to, or you could add any kind of other herb if you'd like, but that's what I'm gonna do. So that, and finish it off with a drizzle of olive oil. I think that's perfect for a soup. And let's go ahead and give this one a try. That is super creamy. I love it. You can taste the broccoli. The coconut does not come through in that, but you can taste the creaminess and the richness because of the coconut milk, but it's really, really good. I hope you guys give this one a try. It's super simple to make, and it's healthy, and it's good for you, and this will definitely keep you full. Until next time, I'm Chef Lucia, and I'll see you. Ciao.